Types of leadership: executional leadership, strategic and thought leadership, and then spiritual leadership. And honestly, what we need to talk about today is that how morality play a role in developing a three-dimensional leader, a leader that could actually have spiritual connectivity with its team and with higher being, uh, the, a person who can continuously have a thought process and then connect its team with its vision and then execute it properly, and hence having the executional side, thought leadership side, and then spiritual side. You may ask, why spiritual? I mean, there are a lot of people who are not very spiritual, but they're good execution leaders, and they could also be good thought leaders. Yes, that is true. You could be a good execution leader and a good thought leader, because if you are a good thought leader and a good execution leader, that means you have a long-term thinking and you're looking all the angles, but then you are also able to execute. But have you seen that a lot of time people who are good thought leaders and execute well, they still miss the boat in really touching people's hearts and minds? And that is because they're missing the angle of spiritual leadership and morality. Now, take an example of today's Iran US, I wouldn't say war, but Iran US conflict. I mean, one of the reasons we are not able to resolve this conflict and it really impacting billions of people on the world, not just United States and Iran, but the whole world is suffering. As a matter of fact, the rest of the world may be more suffering than us living in the United States, because we could afford things more and we may not be feeling that much impact. But honestly, those people who may not be able to afford even, you know, 3 meals in a day, can you imagine the impact on their lives of these fluctuations and increasing costs? I mean, it is really mind boggling when I think about people, especially people of those countries who are trying to help us and negotiate. Countries like Pakistan. Pakistan has 250 million plus people. There are more than 250 million people. In the United States, we have about 350 million, or maybe a little more. Just like that. Maybe Pakistan's population is getting around 300 million, and the US population maybe getting around 375 million. Huge population. But the size of Pakistan is less than Texas, state of Texas. So you can imagine the area of Texas, and maybe smaller, actually much smaller than Texas, and but having a country so strategically important, sitting right in the middle of, on one hand has a, yeah, Middle East, on one side Iran, and then Persian Gulf, and then India, and then China, and then, of course, Russia as well. So, a very strategically important country that is situated very well, but has a lots of population. And 60 plus percent of Pakistan's population is youth. And that youth is not really fully in alliance with in harmony with the army regime. So, uh, people are happy that Pakistan and Pakistan's army uh, head, who's, Field Marshal Asim Munir, is trying to help mediation between Iran and United States. Unfortunately, it's not going that well, is because we have lost the focus on spiritual leadership or morality. And that's the reason We do not have a good connectivity with our youth today. So we do have, you know, execution and tactics, and maybe some thought leadership, which I don't think that this is very thoughtful, long-term thinking leadership. But we are missing big time the spiritual side of leadership, or the spiritual leadership. A leadership that is focused on morality and have some moral values and can create some trust and some, long-term connectivity and dependability and trust between its people and its leadership, and then people of the whole world and the leaders of the rest of the world. Remember, morality build economy. Economy never build morality. You could be the most wealthy person in the world, but may not be connecting with people have the best if you don't have the best morals. If you don't have the morality, you could have lots and lots of wealth, but that does not mean that you can connect with people and people will actually die for you, or they would really love you and you may be happy. The happiness comes with spiritualness and morality. I mean, there are so many books written on this and so many stories. I don't want to really talk about all those stories, but I really want to really go, apologies. I want to really build upon that how spiritual leadership is even more important today than ever before. How morality is more important today than before. When we were more moral doesn't really mean a person has to be religious. Moral simply means that you are respecting others the same way you want to be respected. You are, you believe in rule of law and justice. You believe in everybody's equal rights. You believe in, honesty
Unknown
and
caller.
truthfulness. you know so when we were believing in truthfulness and trust building, then we really became the best in the world. Our economy dominated the whole world. Our dollar dominated the whole world. But what is going on today? We were really the hegemon of the whole world. People trusted us. Countries, all those Gulf countries, they spent billions of dollars with us because they had a trust on our ability that we will support them at the time of need, and we will provide them protection and safety. But unfortunately, what happened when the war happened, we did protect and we provided lots of Tomahawk cruise missiles and the Shield missiles to Israel, but we were not able to protect Saudi Arabia, Bahrain, Qatar, even Iraq, UAE. We were not able to protect them. So why would they trust us in the long term? Maybe they are afraid of us and they would not right away run away. But long term, they will definitely not align with us because the alignment, long term alignment, is based on respect, trust, and accepting the other party's value proposition from the heart, not just from the fear. We can create a fear and people may not speak their mind, but reality is that long term we will lose that relationship. Sooner or later, that would, you know, put us apart. Likewise, we are asking Pakistan to come help us and negotiate this deal. While they are trying to help us, we're telling them, oh, by the way, you have to accept and sign on Abrahamic Accord. I mean, think about it. Pakistani sort of self-imposed ruler was really looking for a lot of glory in this whole thing. But what's happening is he's been asked to sign on Abrahamic Accord, which is very unpopular in the masses, very, very unpopular in all the Muslim countries I'm telling you, it's just very unpopular. So since it's very unpopular, and you have been asked by your own partner who you are trying to help to come sign, if they sign that Abrahamic Accord, believe me, they will not be welcome in their own countries. So if they lose their own power, what are they going to do with the support from not a country, but a country current leader who could actually be removed? So, what I want to really connect today is that since we are dealing with, a huge population, 1/5 of the world is Muslim population, and Israel is really a very very small country, and we are really sacrificing our moral values, our trust, our hegemon for the sake of a very, very small country. I'm not talking about religions here. I'm talking about moral values, universal moral values, and morality, and uh, trustworthiness, and being fair and justful, and also being democratic. Because in the democracy, numbers have a very big value, and there's a reason number has a value. So, we live in a democratic country, and at the end of the day, whether the rest of the world is democratic or not, but masses thought process really help or hurt us as American. Because if the whole world and majority of the world is really thinking ill of us, then our fear factor is only going to work so long. So, so what I really want to conclude is that if we really want to be a good long term leader of the world, we really need to refocus on our moral values, on our, strategic thinking, and we cannot be just tactical, executional mindset. And that's exactly what happens, that all those companies or countries who are only executional and tactical in nature, they may survive for the time being, but they will lose in the long run. So they will win the battle, but they will lose the war. And that's what's happening with us right now. And unfortunately, that's what's happening in this country, that our moral values are declining, and so is our economy. Our economy is declining big time, and we may not be the largest economy of the world if we continue on that path, because we are actually relying entirely on the war economy, whereas the rest of the world, and especially China, who is our real competition, their initiative is really, they are manufacturing economy, they are commodity economy, they have so much world's resources, and their focus is on production, their focus is on road and belt initiative, their focus is on development, whereas our focus is really on the war economy. This is how we get words, um, biggest contracts. Our contracts are based on ammunition, and selling warheads, and selling big products like Boeing and all that. But look, China needs 10,000, over 10,000 jets, and they may only be getting only a couple of hundred from us. Where are they going to get rest? They are going to get some from the rest of the world, but they are going to self produce those. Why would they not be able to produce jets? Because they are so much, um, growing so fast in the AI and in the manufacturing and in the technology. I mean, right now, anything we have to manufacture, even Boeing or even Lockheed Martin, any of the manufacturing we have to do today, we have to get stuff from China. And I mean, China is producing the best train system. The China is producing the best cars. The China is producing the AI technology. China is doing all those things. Why would what? Why do you think they would not be able to produce their best jets? I mean, when they can make very very cheap, um, you know, uh, jets for the war. Where if they can produce, you know, JF-17 and all those, uh, uh, you know, warplanes, and they are, you know, they are 1/100th of the price of our warplanes, and they are pretty good. They are competing in the world. And then why would you think that they would not be able to produce the jets? Of course they will. So if that happens, then what's going to happen with our economy? So I think we need to refocus on morality, and I want to really connect this with one of the most important holidays in that part of the world, and also in the rest of the world, is really the Hajj. And the today, which is the day before Hajj, is really the day of sacrifice. I mean, the day of Arafah, when millions of people get together and show the best, best unity and humility, wearing just two pieces of cloth, all in white. And whether that is the richest of the rich or the poorest of the poor, they're all wearing the same pieces of cloth and staying in the same place under the sun, and showing the unity and humility in front of God. And the next day of Arafah is called Eid, Eid Qurban, or day of sacrifices. So what they do is really they actually sacrifice an animal. You can sacrifice a goat, a sheep, or a cow, or a camel. If you do cow or camel, that's equivalent to seven, um, seven sacrifices. So people will pool money, or you could do more than one. And think about it. If we celebrate all the cultures and all the good uh, values of the world, in United States is a global village. I mean, about 1 to 2% of Americans are Muslims, and they practice Islam, and they are sacrificing animals. If they all sacrifice animal, and each animal is about, on average, about 100 pounds. And if you are 1% of the population and you reach 100 people by giving them meat, and it's very, very important that we share with meat. The meat usually get into three portions: one for poor, one for friends, and one for the family. But if you reach out 100 people, and I hope we do reach out, at least all of our neighbors, no matter what their religion and color and thought process is. If you give somebody a gift of meat, I'm sure everybody will take it. And by the way, there are countries where lots of the population only eat the meat that day in a year, because people are sacrificing animal and giving to the poor and needy and friends and family. A lot of people only eat meat, in those countries, just on this day, because this is a day of sacrifice, day when people are, those who have, they will sacrifice the animal and they will give the meat to the needy ones. So over here in the United States, we may not, you know, we may not have that poor people that who don't end up eating meat, but you definitely, encourage love and respect and humility and sharing and empathy if you are actually sacrificing the animal and sharing that meat with all of your neighbors and friends and family. Imagine the, the the increase of love and affection if you're doing that. So I hope we, we share those values with different cultures, and we respect those values that build humility, that encourage relationship, love and respect, and most importantly, trust and morality. Because really, if the trust is built among us, no matter who we are, ethically or religiously, but as neighbors and as human beings, if we share good values, if we share gifts, if we share meat, if we share all kind of different gifts, that increase the trust and love, and that really will help us build the fabric of the community that would be strong and that would be united, and nobody can defeat that nation that is that has that kind of fabric and has that kind of trust and morality, because that really help motivate everybody, and hence that everybody participate. And that's also a wealth generation and wealth creation methodology as well, which we'll talk next time. But I just want to talk today that how today morality and building trust is even far more important than it was ever before. May God help us all. May God bless you all.